Hi everyone, this is Dr. Pradeep Kumar, working as Assistant Professor in St. Peter's Engineering College, Hyderabad. Today's topic is crystal field theory. This crystal field theory we can also called as CFT. This CFT describes bonding in transition metal complexes. That means this crystal field theory can explain the formation of the bonding between the metal to ligand. While ligand approaches the metal ion, which type of repulsions can take place, how the orbitals splitting can take place, and what are the bond strengths and what are the properties of the metal to ligand bond. These information can be described by the crystal field theory. The formation of a complex is a Lewis acid base reaction. The formation of a complex is a Lewis acid base reaction. That means we know that the Lewis acid base means whatever the group can accept the electron pair, whatever the group or atom accept the electron pair from the uh, donor is known as Lewis acid. Whatever the atom or group donate the lone pair of electrons is known as Lewis base, isn't it? Is it clear for you? Yeah. The formation of a complex is a Lewis acid base reaction means here the formation of complex means the ligand can approach metal, isn't it? The ligand can approach metal and the interaction or repulsions can takes place, isn't it? Interactions and repulsions can takes place by donating the lone pair of electrons with the ligand and by accepting the lone pair of electrons by the metal ion. Is it clear for you? The ligand can donate the electron pair and metal ion can accept that lone pair of electron. Here ligand is donating the electron pair and metal is accepting the electron pair. That means here the ligand acts as Lewis base and metal is acting as Lewis acid, isn't it? That's the why here we are saying the formation of a metal complex is a Lewis acid base reaction. Here the both electrons in the bond come from the ligand and are donated into an empty hybridized orbital on the metal. We see here the both electrons in the bond come from the ligand. Only ligand can donate the two electrons, isn't it? The pair of electron can be donated by the ligand. Here there is no any sharing of the electrons in between the ligand and metal. The both the electrons can be donated by the ligand and are donated into an empty hybridized orbital on the metal, isn't it? Here the ligand donating their lone pair of electron to the empty hybridized orbital on the metal. Is it clear for you? There is no any sharing of the electron in between the transition metal complexes, isn't it? Only the ligand can donate the lone pair of electron and metal can accept that lone pair of electron. Then charge is donated from the ligand to the metal. Is it clear? The charge is donated by the ligand only and accepted by metal ion. Is it clear? Then assumption in crystal field theory is the interaction between ligand and metal is electrostatic. The nature of the interaction between the ligand and metal is purely electrostatic. The more directly the ligand attacks the metal orbital, the higher the energy of the d orbital. Is it clear? The more directly the ligand attacks the metal orbital, the higher the energy of the d orbital here. The crystal field theory mainly focuses on energies of the d orbitals. The CFT mainly focuses on the energies of the d orbitals. How the degeneracy of the d orbitals can split. These things can be explained by the crystal field theory. Here the assumptions are the ligands are totally negative point charges. Ligands acts as here negative point charges. Negative point charges means it can donate the lone pair of electron to the metal cation, metal ion. The ligands, it may be negatively charged ions or it may be neutral donors. If you take F minus, Cl minus, OH minus are the negatively charged donating ligands, and H2O, CO, NH3, these type of ligands are neutral ligands which can capable to the donating the electron pair. Whatever the groups or atoms having the capacity to donate the electrons to the metal atoms, metal ions, those are called as ligands here. What is the metal ligand bonding? Here the metal ligand bonding is entirely ionic, electrostatic. Is it clear? Here we have two terminologies. We have here the strong field and weak field. What is mean by the strong field? What is mean by the weak field? We need to discuss. Here strong field means if the strong field ligand, if the strong field ligand involves in the formation of the transition metal complexes, what will happen? The strength of the ligand will be high, so the splitting of the d orbitals will be more. The splitting of the d orbitals will be more. The energy gap between the orbitals will be high, so that's why there is pairing of electrons can takes place. If the strong field ligand involves, what happens? The splitting of the d orbital will be high, the difference between the d orbitals will be high. That means the pairing of the electrons can takes place easily, so that's why their low spin complexes will form. Their low spin complexes will form because there is totally the pair up of electrons can takes place, so the spin value will be low. So here the formation of the low spin complexes will place. Is it clear for you? Yeah. Then what is weak field? Weak field means here if we weak field ligands involves in the formation of the metal complexes, transition metal complexes, what will happen? The splitting of the d orbitals, the magnitude splitting of the d orbitals will be low. That means difference between the orbitals will be low. That's why there will be there is no pairing of the electrons can takes place, so that's why we will get the high spin complexes. The formation of the high spin complexes will takes place here. Here if we use strong field ligand, we will get low spin complexes. If we have weak field ligand, then we will get high spin complexes. What are the factors affecting the magnitude of the crystal field splitting? The magnitude of the crystal field splitting will be indicated by the delta. What are the factors? What are the factors affecting the magnitude of the crystal field splitting? Here we have some factors which are affecting the magnitude of the crystal field splitting we need to discuss. The first one is nature of the metal ion. The nature of the metal ion affects the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. If going from the first row to second row in the periodic table, there is an increase in the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. Going from the first row to second row in the periodic table, there is an increase in the magnitude of crystal field splitting. Why? Because here, going from the first row to second row, what will happen? The size of the metal will be increases. The size of the metal will be increases. The larger the metal, the larger the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. Why? Because if the size of the metal increases, what will happen? The lobes, the orbitals also size will be increases. There will be repulsions. The more repulsions can takes place between the metal orbitals as well as ligand orbitals. Is it clear for you? The size of the metal increases, then the repulsion between the metal orbitals and upcoming ligand orbitals will be more. Wherever the repulsions will be high, then the energy will be more. Wherever the repulsions will be high, there will be energy will be high, so that the splitting magnitude of the crystal field also will be high. Is it clear? The larger the metal, larger the splitting magnitude of the crystal field. If the size increases, the metal size increases, the splitting magnitude also increases. And coming to the second one, that is oxidation state of the metal ion. Oxidation state of the metal ion also affects the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. How the oxidation state of the metal ion affects? Here, higher the oxidation state, more is the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. Higher the oxidation state, more is the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. Why? Because if increases the oxidation state, what will happen? The electropositivity nature on the metal will increases. If the oxidation state increases, the electropositivity character of the metal will be increases. That means it can attracts the ligand lone pair electrons high in the higher mode. Is it clear? Whatever oxidation state increases, electropositivity character will be increases. Electropositivity character means attracting power of the electrons. Is it clear? Electropositivity means attracting power of the electrons. So the it can accept the electrons, it can attract the electrons from the ligands more rapidly. So that's why there will be repulsions. Whenever the rapid attractions, attracting is there, so that's why there will be more repulsions. If you have the more repulsions, then the energy will be high. The energy will be high means the magnitude of the crystal field splitting is more. The delta is more if oxidation state increases. Is it clear for you? Yeah, coming to the third one, that is number of ligands and shape of complex. The number of ligands and shape of the complex also affects the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. If the number of the ligands increases, then the magnitude of the crystal field splitting also increases. If the number of the ligands increases, the magnitude of the crystal field splitting also increases, because the by increasing the number of the ligands, what will happen? The repulsions between the ligand orbitals and metal orbitals can take more. The repulsion will be more, so that's why the splitting magnitude of the crystal field also more. And shape of the complex also affect in the octahedral, tetrahedral and square planar. in these geometries the different magnitude of the crystal field splitting will takes place. We'll discuss later. This in detail we are going to discuss in upcoming slides. And coming to the relative strength of the ligand, the relative strength of the ligand also affects the magnitude of the crystal field splitting. The relative strength of the ligand depends on the spectrochemical series. What is mean by the spectrochemical series? If you see here, this is the spectrochemical series. That means based on their strength, these can sort out based on their strength. These ligands can be sort out here. That is I minus, Br minus, S minus 2, SCN minus, like that. I minus 2 CO carbonyl ion, I minus 2 carbonyl ligand, there will be increasing the strength of the ligand. There will be increasing the strength of the ligand. Here carbonyl CO having the much more strength of the ligand, and CN CO are having much more strong field. These are the strong field ligands, and I minus, Br minus, S minus 2 are having weak field ligands. The left to right here, the increasing the splitting magnitude, the magnitude of the splitting of the d orbitals also increases. If the strength of the ligand increases, the magnitude of the splitting of the d orbitals also increases here. If you see here, the ligands up to H2O, water molecule, the ligands up to H2O are weak field ligands and tend to result in high spin complexes. I minus 2, here O minus 2. If you see here, I minus 2, I minus 2, O2 minus, these are having weak field ligands. These all are weak field ligands which can form high spin complexes. Beyond this water molecule, ligands beyond H2O, from NCS minus to CO carbonyl, those are strong field ligands. Those are strong field ligands and which can form the low spin complexes. If you use these ligands beyond the water molecule, those are strong field ligands which can form low spin complexes. If you use these ligands up to H2O are weak field ligands. These are the weak field. If you use these ligands, weak field ligands to form to synthesis the metal complexes, then we will get high spin complexes. Then we will get high spin complexes here. Before enter to discuss the splitting of the d orbitals in different geometries or in the different fields, first we need to understand the shapes of the d orbitals. If we got the understand about the shapes of the d orbitals, then only we can understand the splitting of the d orbitals in the various geometries. That is, it may be octahedral, it may be tetrahedral or square planar complexes. Is it clear? So first we need to understand the shapes of the d orbitals clearly. If you see here, the total we have 5 d orbitals. Total we have 5 d orbitals. Those are dxy, dxz, dyz, dx square minus y square and dz square. These are the total 5 d orbitals. In this, out of these 5 d orbitals, if you see this dxy, dxz, dyz are different, and these dz square, dx square minus y square are different. These two comes in one category and these three comes in one category. If you observe the dxy, the dxz and dyz orbitals lobes, these orbital lobes placed in between the axis. If you see yz, in between the lobes are there. Is it clear? And if you see yz, here you have lobes. Is it clear? That means if you see here also, uh, in between the axis we have the lobes of the d orbitals in between the axis in these three cases, that is dxy, dxz and dyz. But out of these five, these two, that is dx square minus y square and dz square, if you see, if you observe, these lobes are present along the axis. If you see y x dx square through the x-axis, along the x-axis, along the y-axis, here we have the lobe. So that's why dx square minus y square. Here if you see dz square, the lobe along the dz axis. So that's why it is called as dz square. That means dxy, xz and yz. These three orbitals are having the lobes in between the axes. So these three can called as T2G set. These three dxy, dxz, dyz called as T2G set. And these two dx square minus y square and dz square are one set, that is called EG set. Okay, you have to remember what is T2G set and which one EG set. Okay, T2G set or dxy, dxz, dyz, which are having the lobes in between the axes. EG set dx square minus y square, dz square, which are having along the axis. The lobes are placed along the axis. Okay, is it clear? And the coming crystal field splitting, first we have octahedral crystal field splitting. The crystal field splitting in octahedral complexes. How the d orbital can split in the octahedral complexes, while the formation of the transition metal complexes, here we are going to discuss. Okay, in the octahedral complexes, the if you observe the structure or geometry of the octahedral complexes, the central metal atom can surrounded by 6 ligands. The central metal atom here surrounded by 6 ligands. These ligands, see, these 6 ligands can approach, can come together to the come to the central metal atom through the axis, along the axis. If you see here x-axis, here y-axis, here z-axis. These ligands can approach the central metal atom through the axis. You just remember, in the octahedral complexes, the ligands are approaching the central metal atom or central metal ion along the axis. Then we will discuss how the splitting can takes place here. Initially, the 5 d orbitals are having degeneracy. Initially means without adding the ligand solution to the metal salt solution. Here we have d orbitals in free ion, which are having 5 d orbitals are having degeneracy. Degeneracy means all the 5 orbitals are having similar energy. The dxy, dxz, dx square, dyz, dx square minus y square, dz square. These 5 orbitals are having same energy. When we added ligand solution to the metal solution, what happens here? The average energy of the d orbitals in a spherical crystal field. The spherical crystal field takes place. If you see here, it is ligands are surrounding. Here the ligands are surrounded by the metal atom. The metal are surrounded by the ligands which are in the average energy of the d orbitals in a spherical crystal field. The energy will raise up, but the energy between the orbitals are similar here also. that is called the average energy of the d orbitals in a spherical crystal field. After that, the ligands are approaching along the axis. Is it clear? The ligands are approaching in the formation of the octahedral geometry. The ligands are approaching here along the axis. So here we have two types of orbitals as we discussed in the earlier slide. One is T2G orbitals and another one is EG orbital. T2G orbital means dxy, dyz, dxz. These three orbitals are having the lobes in between the axis. So in between the axis, lobes are having in between the axis in the T2G set. Is it clear? So that's why there is no repulsions in between the ligand orbitals as well as the metal orbitals. So these T2G set, the energy will be decreased due to there is no any repulsions. Is it clear? Why? The ligands are approaching along the axis, but these T2G set orbitals having the lobes between the axis, so there is minimum there is no repulsions in between the orbitals of the ligands as well as the metal orbitals. So the T2G set will goes down. Is it clear? T2G, that is dxy, dxz, dyz goes down. The energy will be decreased by minus 2 by 5 delta O splitting magnitude. Okay. But in case of the EG set of orbitals, EG set orbitals are dx square minus y square and dz square orbital. As we discussed earlier, the dx square minus y square and dz square, these both the orbitals lobes are having along the axis. The lobes are along the axis in these two orbitals. So here also ligand approaching along the axis. Here also lobes are having along the axis. So there is a very much repulsions. There is very repulsion. The much more repulsions are there in between the dx square minus y square dz square orbitals and metal orbital. So that's why these orbitals energy will be raised by plus 3 by 5 delta O. Okay, this energy will be raised by plus 3 by 5 delta O. So it goes up. Is it clear? So EG set goes up and T2G goes down. The total magnitude, if you see here, the total splitting magnitude is delta O. In the octahedral splitting field, in the octahedral crystal field splitting, there will be energy difference, that is delta O will be there. This is the splitting of the d orbitals in an octahedral crystal field. Okay. And then next one is crystal field splitting in tetrahedral complexes. Then we are going to discuss crystal field splitting in tetrahedral complexes. If you see here, in the tetrahedral complexes, the metal is surrounded by 4 ligands. In the tetrahedral complexes, the metal surrounded by 4 ligands, which is placed in between the axis. If you see, these ligands are approaching, or these ligands are connected with the in between the axis. If you see here we have x, y, z axis. In between these axes, the ligands are connected with the metal ion. When where the in octahedral, what will happen there? What happened there? There metal ion connected with the ligands along the axis, but in the tetrahedral, in between the axis. So the splitting will be quite opposite to the octahedral splitting. In the tetrahedral, crystal field splitting is quite opposite to the octahedral splitting. If you observe here, in the free metal ion, there will be degeneracy in the 5 d orbitals. The free metal ion means there is nothing added here. The ligand not added here. only free metal ion is there. So dxy, dxz, dyz, dx square minus y square and dz square, the 5 d orbitals are having the degeneracy. When we added the ligand solution to the metal salt, what happens here? The average energy of the d orbitals in spherical crystal field takes place, and then after that the repulsion can takes place in between the ligand as well as the metal orbitals, as well as the metal orbitals. If you see here, in this tetrahedral geometry, the ligands are approaching the metal, in between the axes, so that whatever the uh, whatever the d orbitals having the lobes in between the axes, those are having much more repulsions in the tetrahedral complexes. Is it clear? Because the ligands in the tetrahedral complexes are approaching the metal ion in between the axes, isn't it? In between the axes. So whatever the d orbitals are having the lobes in between the axes, those orbitals can get repulsed much more. That is T2G orbitals. The T2G orbitals lobes are present in between the axes, and the ligands also in between the axis, approaching the ligands also in between the axis. So that's why these T2G set of orbitals get repulsed more. That's why this T2G set goes up. The energy will be raised by 2 by 5 delta T. The energy will be raised T2G 2 by 5 delta T. Whatever the orbitals are along the axis is there, that is EG set, that is d x square minus y square and dz square, will decrease the energy. Is it clear? Will decrease the energy because there is no much more repulsions. Is it clear? Because these ligands are approaching in between the axis, these lobes are having the along the axis, not in between the axis. So this EG set will goes down, that is the energy will be decreased by the 3 by 5 delta T here. This is splitting of d orbitals in tetrahedral crystal field. Is it clear? So that's why I'm saying that crystal field splitting in tetrahedral complexes is quite opposite to the octahedral splitting. Is it clear? Because there T2G set will be down and EG set will be high there, but here in the tetrahedral complexes EG set will be down and T2G set will be top. Is it clear? But the splitting magnitude will be different. We'll discuss later. If you see the crystal field stabilization energy in tetrahedral complexes, the tetrahedral crystal field stabilization energy is also calculated the same way as the octahedral crystal field stabilization energy. But the magnitude of the tetrahedral splitting energy is different. The magnitude of the tetrahedral splitting energy will be different from the octahedral splitting energy. That is, it is only 4 by 9 of the octahedral splitting energy. That means the splitting energy, that magnitude of the splitting of the d orbitals of the tetrahedral is equals to 4 by 9 of delta O. This is the relation. This is the relation between the magnitude, crystal field magnitude in between the tetrahedral and octahedral, that is delta T is equals to 4 by 9 delta O. As a result of the relatively small size of the tetrahedral splitting energy, if you see from this, we can say that the tetrahedral splitting energy will be low. Is it clear? The tetrahedral splitting energy will be low compared to delta O. Why? Because so that's why there are no low spin tetrahedral complexes. There will be always high spin tetrahedral complexes only. There will be always high spin tetrahedral complexes only. Why here the delta T is less than delta O? Why the delta T is less compared to the delta O? Because here in the delta T, that means in the tetrahedral geometry, there will be only 4 ligands, where in the octahedral geometry we have 6 ligands. Is it clear? Here the tetrahedral, in the tetrahedral geometry we have only 4 ligands, and in the octahedral geometry we have 6 ligands. Is it clear? Moreover, in the octahedral geometry the ligands can approach along the axis, but in the tetrahedral geometry ligands can approach in between the axis. So that's why delta T is always less than delta O here. It is always more energetically favorable to put an electron into a T2 orbital rather than pair it in an E orbital. Is it clear? So that's why there will be no pairing. There will be no pairing. So that's why there will be always high spin tetrahedral complexes can form. And next one is the crystal field splitting in square planar complexes. In square planar complexes, the d orbital splitting in square planar complexes, if you see, the square planar coordination can be imagined to result when 2 ligands on the z-axis of an octahedron are removed. If you see, this is the octahedral geometry. Here we have 6 ligands. This is the octahedral geometry. How can we get the square planar complexes from this octahedral geometry? By removing of these 2 ligands from the z-axis. Is it clear? By removing of these 2 ligands from the z-axis, we will get this square planar complexes. We will get these square planar complexes. Here the orbital splitting diagram for square planar coordination can thus be derived from the octahedral diagram. The orbital splitting diagram of a square planar coordination can be thus be derived from the octahedral diagram. By removing of these 2 ligands on the z-axis from the octahedral geometry, we can get these square planar complexes. So that's why the splitting magnitude, the splitting pattern of the square planar complexes also will get from the octahedral splitting, d orbital splitting. From the octahedral d orbital splitting, we can get the d orbital splitting of the square planar complexes also. We'll see how can we get the splitting pattern for a square planar geometry from the octahedral geometry. If you see here, as ligands move away along the z-axis, d orbitals with a z component with falling energy. Here we are going to remove the ligands which are placed on the z-axis. Isn't it? So that's why the d orbitals with a z component, which the d orbitals are having a z component, will fall in energy because there is no any repulsions. We are going to remove the repulsions on the z component. Is it clear? Whatever the orbitals are having whatever the d orbitals with a z component, we are going to remove the repulsions from that. So that's why energy, by removing the repulsions, what happens? The energy will fall. Is it clear? The energy will fall. The energy will obviously decrease. When the repulsions decreases, the energy will be decreases. The z component d orbitals are going to escape from the repulsions by removing the ligands on the z axis. So that's why these orbitals will fall in energy. The z square orbital falls the most as its electrons are concentrated in lobes along the z axis. The xz and yz orbitals also drop in energy, but not as much. If you see, what are the d orbitals are having z component? The z component d orbitals are, we have dxz, dyz and dz square. Isn't it? These 3 orbitals are having z component. These 3 orbitals are going to decrease the energy. Is it clear? The energy will fall for these three orbitals. The dz square, if you see here, this is the octahedral splitting pattern, that is T to G. Here dxy, dxz, dyz, and this is dx square minus y square and dz square. Here Eg set, here we have T to G set. This is the octahedral splitting pattern. From this, what will happen in the dxy, dxz, dyz, three are there. In this, the z component orbitals are dxz, dyz, isn't it? These three will get decreased the energy here. These two orbitals energy will be decreased. That's why this will comes down. That is dxz, dyz can decrease the energy by minus 0.51 delta O. Is it clear? And this dxy will get raised because the repulsion will be more. The sharing of the repulsions among the only two orbitals, that is dxy and dx square minus y square. So that's why this energy of these orbitals dxy, dx square minus y square will be more compared to the octahedral. Is it clear? So that's why these two will goes up, and this dz square also will comes down because it's a z component d orbital. This is decreased the energy by minus 0.43 delta O, and dxy increased the energy by 0.23 delta O, and dx square minus y square is the topmost energetic orbital in the square planar complexes by 1.23 delta O. This is the splitting pattern about the square planar geometry. The square planar geometry splitting pattern we can obtain from the octahedral geometry, octahedral splitting pattern here. Here we have some merits of the crystal field theory as well as some limitations of the crystal field theory. Coming to the merits of the crystal field theory here that can be used to predict the most favorable geometry for the complex. By using this crystal field theory, we can predict the most favorable geometry for the transition metal complex. And by using this crystal field theory, we can account for why some complexes are tetrahedral and why some other are having square planar. Here, by having 4 in tetrahedral and square planar, in both the type of complexes we are having 4 ligands. Is it clear? 4 ligands, but one is having tetrahedral and one is having square planar. Why these differences between, why the formation of the complexes will be differ? These things we can explain from the crystal field theory, and useful in interpreting magnetic properties. The crystal field splitting, the crystal field theory can use to interpret the magnetic properties of the different complexes, and the colors of many transition metal complexes can be rationalized from this CFT. The colors of the many transition metals complexes can be rationalized by the crystal field theory. These are the merits of the crystal field theory, and here we have some limitations also. CFT also have some limitations. If you see here, if the delocalization increases in the complexes, the delocalization increases, it becomes less accurate. It becomes less accurate. It becomes less accurate as delocalization increases. More covalent character will be there. Is it clear? So once the delocalization increases, the covalent character will be increases, that we cannot explain. And point charge does not accurately represent the complexes. Here the point charge does not accurately represent the complexes, and here the CFT does not account for pi bonding interactions. Is it clear? It is always tells metal to ligand bonds, but it does not account for pi bonding interactions. and also does not account for the relative strengths of the ligand. The relative strengths of the ligands also not explained by the CFT. Okay, this is the uh, discussion about the crystal field theory.